Hey everyone, and thanks for joining me. My name's Matt, and you did read that title correctly. I did recently quit my job in finance with student debt and without really having a backup plan. I'll go into more detail about that, but before I go into that story, I want to give you some more background and get you familiar with myself and why I made this decision. To make sure that you really understand me, I want to take you back a little bit in time. So currently I'm 25, so I'll take you back about 10 years to when I was 15. When I was 15, just a young sophomore in high school, I was not your most role model student, or I was not the best student by any means. I lived for about two things: hanging out with my friends and playing lacrosse during high school. School wasn't really an aspect or anything that I ever really cared about it, and my grades certainly reflected that. I think at the time that I'm thinking about, I had about a 1.7 GPA in high school. And one day I was called into my principal's office to talk about my grades and to talk about a future career plan. Basically, all I was told from the guidance counselor was that you're not going to college. You really need to start considering alternative paths, whether that be becoming a plumber, going to the military, getting a trade job, anything like that, which at the time was not the path that anybody was taking. Everybody was going to college regardless of kind of their grades. It seemed like anybody was going to college as long as you had the money for it. So in my head, I was thinking to myself, you know what, yeah, you can think whatever you want to think. I'm just going to play lacrosse, I'll get into a good school, and then, lacrosse will just take me to wherever I want to be. Well, that could have happened, but my parents were a little smarter than that. My parents realized that I was simply using lacrosse as my scapegoat to get into college, not having to actually really work hard at the academic part of it, and they were under the impression that as soon as I got into college that I would just, party, go have fun, not go to class, fail out and be home within a semester. Truthfully, that probably would have been the case had I gone away. So my first year I actually spent at a local community college, which is where everything started changing for me. At the community college is where I really learned my discipline, and that's where I learned if I want to do something, it's not in my parents' hands, it's not in my guidance counselor's hands, it's not in my friends' hands. It's solely up to me to be able to create the path or to create the future that I want for myself. It's nice knowing that other people can have that influence on you, but I was well aware that this is something that I needed to fully take underneath my own control. My first year in college, I was able to finish with a 3.5, 3.4, something like that, give or take GPA, on top of taking 36 credit hours. And the community college I went to in Charlotte, North Carolina, is spread out amongst multiple campuses. So it was a lot of work, a lot of driving, and to be able to get something underway. At the end of that 36 credit hours, I realized one thing about myself. It's when you take the educational, boring aspect away from it and make it more of a work environment is where I start to do my best. I've always worked, I've always had jobs, walking dogs, working at restaurants, working at a boat marina, selling knives, you name it, I have had a job since really before legally I should have been working, but that's okay because that taught me the discipline that I needed. I learned when I was in college quickly that I was interested in finance. Reason being is I do like numbers. I don't like math. No, that's very contradicting to say, but I don't mind like quick adding, subtracting, dividing, percentages, things like that. People are always going to have money. People are always going to need to have their money managed. Why not take advantage of something that I'm interested in, something that people need, and actually put this degree to work? After all, I was paying for it. After taking those 36 credit hours, I was able to take away one thing from that. And that's that I was actually a little bit smarter than I thought I was. Not so much actually that I was smarter though, but more that I realized that if I do apply myself, something I'm sure my parents have told me at least 100 times, that if I apply myself, I can go a long way in life. I always thought that I didn't really necessarily have to apply myself and can just kind of skip through life and, make it through just fine. But I quickly realized after getting denied from every single college I applied for that that was not the way about it, and that you actually do have to apply yourself and stand out to be recognized or to separate yourself from everyone around you. So getting such a good GPA in such a quick time frame in college and busting out 36 credit hours within 1 year was a huge accomplishment for me, and it's something I was very proud of. The reason why I was working so hard for that is because I didn't want to miss out on college. I was seeing pictures on Facebook, Instagram of all my friends, going to tailgates, going to parties, having all the fun that I wanted to be having, and I was like, that's the life I want to be living. What do I need to do to get there? So I grinded it out as much as I could and made it so that this way, my sophomore year, I was able to attend East Carolina University. Long story short, I actually was able to graduate from East Carolina University after being there for only 3 years, so 4 years total in college, with a degree in finance and my concentration in real estate. Not only was I able, though, to graduate from college in 4 years total, I was also able to have a job lined up in finance out of college, which was very exciting, and on pen and paper, this was everything that I should have been doing in life. I went to school, saved money living at home, going to community college the first year, graduated in the 4 years total, had a job out of college to pay off the student debt that I've accumulated, but something wasn't right. When I got to work, I realized that I had to take another test to actually get my job. This would be the Series 7. And that was okay. I was fresh out of school. I was used to taking tests and actually was just fresh out of finals, so it's not like studying was anything completely foreign to me. But it was a little bit of a step backwards to think to myself, wait, I just spent that much time, effort, and money to get this degree, and now you're telling me that I need a certification, really, instead of a degree to do the job that I wanted. So after months of studying, I was able to pass the Series 7 low-key on my second try. I failed the first time. But I was able to pass the Series 7 and was able to continue working in the finance industry, where I actually continued to work for the same company for the next 3 years. At first, I really enjoyed the experience I was getting. I enjoyed being able to work in a finance environment. I felt like everything for me was coming together the way that it should be. But after about a year or so in the role, I found myself that I went through college, studied for this hard test, got not the easiest degree that my university offered, and all I was doing was resetting passwords for old people to log into their account and, view their finances that they had. And that was a little, I don't think upsetting is the right word, but it wasn't the path that I thought I was getting on. You don't need a degree in finance. You don't need to learn how to calculate a 50-day moving average or, again, back to square roots and standard deviations. None of that applies for resetting a password. So I felt like my time was wasted. And I'll be honest, that was not a good feeling for me. Knowing that I just spent, the past 3 years at East Carolina University, which was a great time, and I fully enjoyed going to ECU, but knowing that I just spent that much time, money, and effort to get this degree, then okay, I'll get out of school and I'll take 2 more certifications because I actually needed the 7 and 63, to then just go ahead and reset a password. It just felt like such a waste of time for me, and I instantly started second guessing my career path that I got into. Now, truth be told, I actually was considering becoming a realtor out of college, but due to my parents' advice, they told me that I shouldn't graduate with student debt and have a job that's 100% commission to start living off of, as well as my parents didn't have health insurance, so I couldn't get onto their plan because that was non-existent, and they really wanted for me to get onto my own health insurance plan and become independent on my own. Which is really good guidance, and it's a really good plan to have for your kids, so no fault to them, and they certainly did whatever they could to put me into the position that I ended up in, so I'm very grateful for that. And I'm also very grateful for the experiences that I had working in finance. But again, at the end of the day, it was just something that didn't feel fulfilling enough for me. I felt like I had something more, and I felt like I can accomplish a lot. And it all kind of tied back to taking those 36 credit hours my freshman year. That was a lot of work that I did to put myself in this position, and I found myself in a position that I did not like. And it just, again, it seemed like time wasted. So I started thinking of plans that I could be doing, what are the job paths or career opportunities that the company I was working for had to offer. And there was a few, and as I applied for them and I started getting rejected from jobs, I started to become extremely discouraged, which I can say for the first time in my life I was ever not confident that, I can push it through, and I always knew that if I worked hard, study hard, impress the right people, learn instead of acting out, things like that, that I can take my life to where I'd want to be. But once it actually got to the point of taking those next steps in the career progression, and my job was kind of keeping me held back to where I didn't want to be, I was thinking, is this me or is this them? So after a long, about year and a half, maybe 2 years of just kind of thinking to myself, what other options are out there? What else is out there? Reading into other jobs, what else is involved with finance? I realized part of it is I also don't want to be sitting at a desk all day. I felt myself, I was caught in this routine every day, 9:30 to 6, 5 days a week, leaving my house at 8 o'clock in the morning, coming home at 7 o'clock at night to go reset somebody's password to log into their finance account and get yelled at the entire time was not a life that I wanted to be living. After unfortunately spending too much time thinking about the options I had, thinking about making my, way out of working in finance or switching to another company, I finally got burnt out and I spent too much time doing my research. So about 3 months ago, my job told me that I would need to take another finance test to move forward with the job that I already had, which at this point actually was my first promotion in the company, so I now had my second role there. When they told me that I had to take this new test, at first it was exciting because I instantly thought to myself, wow, this is a new test, this is going to open up so many doors for other companies to be interested in me with my background, and I had a successful background in the finance job that I had. But considering that this new test was coming around, and considering that I've done all I could to show this company that I'm working my hardest and just not getting the same recognition back, I very impulsively said, thanks but no thanks, I'm moving on, and quit my job. Now, a lot of times people will tell you, oh, you need to have a backup job, or what are you going to do next, or what are you going to do to pay rent? And honestly, to this day, I don't have a lot of that figured out, but I have a few next steps in place. What I'm getting at this point is I want to kind of go over the purpose of this video, as well as ones that I hope to make in the future. Basically, what I want to do is take you on the journey of me quitting that job, the 9-to-5 hustle, sitting in traffic, sitting at a desk. The unhealthiest thing is just sitting all day, and that's all you do is sit all day in front of a computer screen staring at it, waiting, who else is going to yell at you that day, to taking matters into my own hands and hopefully creating a successful career path out of it, and I want you to join me on that path. A lot of people have videos that talk about their past success, and those are very helpful to watch, and I've certainly watched a bunch of those myself just to make sure I was taking the right steps or to see what other people have. But I haven't seen anybody that's taken you along the journey with them, which is what I hope to do. So what am I doing next? Oh, that's a great question. So, as I mentioned earlier, my degree was in finance, but my concentration was in real estate, and I did want to get into real estate right after college. So I actually decided to go ahead and I signed up, instead of taking the Series 66, I signed up for the North Carolina real estate exam, and to get my brokerage license with real estate. Reason being is because I've realized that the things that I value the most are just being flexible. I want to be able to, if I want to, spend time with my dog, and as weird as that sounds, say, go out, take him on walks, or let him ride in the car with me, or, just spend time with him, or if my girlfriend has the day off and she wants to take a trip to the mountains, or anything like that, just say, yeah, hold on, let me do a few things first, and then we can go ahead and take that trip. Or, having the ability to take a vacation. Another thing that drove me crazy about working that 9-to-5 is, if I had a doctor's appointment, I was having to use paid time off to go see a doctor, which is what I was supposed to be doing, which is why I got this job with health insurance. And then, meanwhile, I wasn't getting to use my time off to go do anything I enjoyed because it was full of doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, you name it. Life gets in the way, and when you have to, you're timing the amount of time you have off, it adds up quickly, and all of a sudden, that 2 weeks of vacation is gone, and you're only in May. And I was just not happy with that. I figured if I can work for myself, I've known that I can push myself harder, why can't I just do all of this on my own? And so I put in my 2 weeks, I signed up for the real estate exam, and I start the exam in 2 days, or I start the class in 2 days. In North Carolina, you have to take a 72-hour course before you can take the exam. It has to be in a classroom setting, so I couldn't do it while I was working at the finance company. And so here we are now. I don't really know what else to say about that, but here we are now. Well, I've thought about what to say now, and what I would like to do from this point on is take you on that journey with me of my experiences while I'm taking the exam. What am I doing with money? What am I doing when money runs out? Hopefully that doesn't happen, but what am I going to do as a side way of making money? I listened to that Side Hustle School podcast a lot, and that was another thing that actually motivated me to becoming my own business person, was just hearing these stories of people that have such simple ideas and make a living off of it by selling, children's books, by creating a t-shirt company, by, creating mugs with the, skill finders thing on them. There's just so many ways out there that people make money that doesn't require them to have to check in, check out every day, wait on a paycheck. That's one of the biggest things, if you've ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is you just learn that you shouldn't live a life waiting for your next paycheck. If anything, you don't want to be dependent on the paycheck, and I know I don't want to be dependent on the paycheck. To be honest, I just want to be rich. I mean, that would be so much better, and I'm sure that'll change, and I'm sure some people will have some negative comments to say about that. But to be honest, and to be totally straightforward, it's the truth. I don't want to have to worry about if I'm going to be able to pay the bills, if I'm going to be able to afford a doctor's appointment, if I'm going to be able to buy my own house, buy my own car, or which car am I going to buy, settling for something that I don't want. Life's too short to really give up those kind of sacrifices, and that's something that always has hit me a little bit more personally, is I don't want to waste the time that I have on earth. We only have limited time here. You only have one life. Why spend it doing something you hate? To me, that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and that's why I decided to say, you know what, I'm out of here. Packed up my bags and I left the job, and here I am, jobless, which feels kind of good because I do have some money right now saved up, so that's a good feeling of just not having to repeat that same grind, same hustle every single day, doing something you don't like, waiting for a paycheck that you feel should be higher each time you receive it and you get disappointed. Jim Rohn always says you can't create time, but you can create value. And that's where I realized I was creating a lot of value for this company while they were taking up my time. If I found a company that can pay me for the time that I've created for them, or I'm sorry, for the value that I've created for them, that would be a lot better. But why not take that a step further? And why don't I create the value for myself and minimize the time that I spend working by doing things that'll create a passive income? Because to me, ultimately, that's what's going to be the most important aspect of this for me, is just getting the financial independence, as buzzwordy of phrase that is, but being able to just say, again, I'm going to go take a week in the Bahamas, email me if you need me, or I'm going to go do whatever, even if it's stay home, but having the ability to say, I'm cleaning all day today because, Saturday ECU played, Sunday the Panthers played, I didn't really have time to go clean the house. Well, Monday, that's what I can go ahead and look forward to. Or just having that ability to live life that's not on such a strict schedule. I realized too, at 22, when I started working in finance, I was already ready for retirement. And that's while I was talking to people that were already in retirement, who were 50, 60, 70, some people 75 years old or more, still working, waiting to get to retirement. And that just isn't a place I wanted to see myself in. I wanted to say, you know what, if I wanted to pack up my bags and call it quits at, 55, I can do so. But I enjoy working, and so I don't plan on taking the easy way out and escaping life as most people do, or as most people would like to. I do plan on working hard through it, and I do plan on creating, my own, I'll just say my own empire of different businesses, and, whether that be in real estate or, owning franchises, or just something to create a passive income and create that better life for me. You always see these days of, the day of the internet where people are making $100,000 a month on YouTube, Shopify, something else. I'm not really sure. I'm not the biggest tech guy. But people are out there making stupid money by not doing a lot of work, or at least at a young age, they're able to enjoy life, which is a very important aspect of all of this. So, I'm sure this isn't the best quality video. I'm sure I kind of rambled on certain points, or I'm sure the quality isn't good, sound quality. There's always going to be something to complain about. But hopefully you'll follow me on this journey. Hopefully the qualities of my video will get a little bit better as we move forward. But at the end of the day, hopefully you can learn something, and hopefully you'll be able to walk away and say, you know what? I'm going to do that too. I'm going to go ahead and quit my job, or I'm going to take that leap that I've never done. Because that's the biggest thing, and I'll admit, there was no better feeling than walking away saying, I'm done. I don't have to worry about this anymore. Because moving forward, everything is going to be in my hands. If I don't like the way somebody does business, guess what? It's my business. So I get to tell you how we're going to carry on this conversation. Which, hopefully is going to be respectfully. But there's a lot I feel like that is to gain from being your own business. Whether that be a real estate agent or an investor or running your own, online business or owning a, Rita's and 3 McDonald's or whatever. But, weirdly to take it down this path, this is America, where we have the ability to say, I quit, I'm done, I'm going to go make my own money and I'm going to do something else. Because you don't have to sit through those desk jobs in this country. You have the ability to move forward. And I just think it's time that, myself included, but more of us take advantage of that. So thank you again for the time and for watching this video. Sorry I started messing around with my little lens cap thing. It's super cool though. But I hope to see you on a few other videos, hopefully moving forward, and really hopefully at the end of the series I'll be a millionaire, but we'll see about that. Thanks again.